Peace and blessings. Respect and honor beautiful souls. I am Brandi L and you are listening to Power Podcasts. You can find many of these talks archived on YouTube at the I Am Brandi Bates YouTube channel. Find me on Twitter at Soledad Francis and on Instagram at Brandi is Winning. Today we are talking about the school of hard knocks, things college won't teach you. And of course, this talk could go on and on because there are probably an infinite amount of things that colleges won't teach you. Even some of your most prestigious, affluent universities and higher learning institutions, they just don't have the ability and the resources to cover it all. So I'm just going to touch on some main bullet points of things that I truly believe are important that you learn sooner than later. And if you can learn them by learning from other people's mistakes, the even better, Lee Iacocca said, formal learning can teach you a great deal, but many of the essential skills in life are the ones you have to develop on your own. And education should involve learning life skills that a man or a woman will carry with them after college, in order to navigate relationships, in order to navigate careers and be well-rounded, to be successful. Right. And no matter what you major in universities and colleges, if you even attend college, there will always be lessons that can only be learned in the school of hard knocks. Right. And in an increasingly competitive job market, companies and brands and organizations are looking for graduates and men and women who have learned not only from their textbooks, but from the world around them. And so the more adept you can be at maneuvering the world as it's evolving, you can adapt. As you evolve, the better off you'll be. Though high school and college are excellent in teaching many, many, many valuable skills, our current academic curriculum doesn't teach many aspects necessary to succeeding and thriving in life in general. Such as financial responsibilities and investments, how to think logically, retaining information, not merely temporarily, memorizing information, and how to apply such abilities to real world scenarios, which are bound to occur. The problem is you're learning things like how to do parallelograms and Pythagorean theorem, but not how to make the tax code work for you. You're learning how to balance an equation or who won the battle at Waterloo, but you're not learning how to get paid. You're not learning how to make a relationship work, how to make a marriage work. You're not learning how to do basic things that you do every day, like cook and keep a home, how to grow an empire, how to grow a business, how to raise children, right? They're not teaching you these things. And so what happens is you have a lot of people who graduate from school and they're successful and they got great grades, they've got 4.0 averages, but then they fail in marriage, they fail in relationships, they fail in their career path, they fail in life in so many different aspects. Successful, but failing at the same damn time. So one of the bullet points is work ethic and hustle. I am a proponent of the hustle. And higher education, one thing about higher education, unless you're attending like a Wharton business school or Harvard Business or, some of the major Columbia, some of the major ones. Higher education doesn't spend much time teaching students how to be self-employed because they want you to learn how to be a worker bee. And there's nothing wrong with being a worker bee if you're okay with not having a larger dream, not having a larger purpose. I think jobs are wonderful, but it perpetuates a certain kind of system. It perpetuates a certain type of system. And I think a lot of the younger generation, especially the millennials and Gen X, they're just not feeling that old school dynamic. How to network with purpose. Networking is about finding your tribe and people who inspire and challenge you and forming mutually beneficial relationships with others. It was Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, originally said that when two people got together, a third mind, the mastermind, was created. And so to him, it was a separate force in the conversation. And over the past 85 odd years, it's morphed from mastermind alliance to mastermind group. But the meaning and underlying principles and the spirit of that concept are still the same. How many of you know you can't kill an idea? You can't kill the spirit of a mindset. In Hill's book, The Law of Success, he adds another element to the idea of a mastermind group. The group helps to organize useful knowledge. It's like creating a virtual encyclopedia from which each member can draw information. And so that's why I like to hold mastermind groups. I don't believe in, I do this podcast because I was asked to do this podcast. And once I got the ball rolling and got it started, I've just continued with it because I don't believe in quitting. You may see me struggle, but you're not going to see me quit. Okay. So, but it's helping people. But in general, when I get in communication with people, I like to learn from people as much as someone may be able to learn from me. I want to be able to learn from you too. I don't believe in the teacher student dynamic all the time. I believe that it's important to have equals and to debate and dialogue amongst one another, so you create that third mind, that mastermind, something I couldn't get from my own understanding, something you couldn't get from your own understanding. But when we get it together, we're creating a whole totally new, never been done, out the box shit, right? You want to know you want to know what happens when you own your field and you study, grind, hustle, and keep at your goals, keep at your craft until you tap out. You want to know what happens when you keep going until you tap out? You become the best ever. You become legendary. You reach legendary status. You get paid. You get broke off something proper financially and among your peers. Your gift will make room for you. Your skills and your talents, when you refine them and sharpen them and improve upon them, will take you amongst kings, will take you amongst royalty, will take you amongst ambassadors and presidents and celebrities and all type of personalities. And so you have to learn to be otherworldly good at what you do and sustain it. And although school doesn't teach that, the school of hard knocks teaches that. Hustle 101. be otherworldly good at what you do. And you become otherworldly good by hustle, grind. The other day, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning so I could get to the gym and be in the gym by 5 a.m. Started my workout by 5:15, and I was in the gym for 3 hours before I started my day. By the time I sat down to my desk to work, I felt so energized. And one thing I noticed was there was no one in the gym. Behind me or in front of me, there were maybe about, I'd say a total of probably about 18 people in the whole gym in various areas, strength training, cardio, boxing, the pool, But the point is, when you really go all in, late nights, early mornings, whether you're writing a book, whether you're studying to get that PhD, you're working on a paper, you're working on a business, you're working on your empire, you're learning things that you never learned before. Keep sustaining, keep going harder and further than anyone else, and watch where it puts you. When you see people like Serena Williams and Ava DuVernay and Issa Rae, and you see people living out their dreams, they were otherworldly good. They are otherworldly good at what they do. Sometimes I come across singers and performers who, they're trying to carve out space for themselves in this noisy world, and they're like, listen to my mixtape or whatever, and you listen to it, and more often than not it's garbage, but every now and then you will find a gem that is just brilliant. And what separates the two is one is just constantly working at it. It doesn't matter what it is you want to do or your ambition is, you got to work at it. And I think the problem with school is it gives you a lesson and then a test, a lesson and then a test. But in the school of hard knock, in life, you might get the test first, and then from the result of that test, you're getting the lesson. And so to get better at anything, you just have to keep working at it. Everything that is easy to you today was once difficult. You had to learn how to drive. You had to learn how to cook. You had to learn how to do whatever it is that you get paid to do. And you got better at it. When I ran my first 5K, I don't even want to tell you what the time was. But when I first started running, I couldn't even run a mile without being winded and stopping. And now it's like I can just run that first mile with a breeze, because I just kept tapping on it and running, getting up my time, getting up my oxygen, getting up my fuel, getting up my energy. Another bullet point that they're not going to teach you in college, they're not going to teach you this in school, is money. And surprisingly, schools have done little to prepare students for their financial futures. In many ways, it's the concept of the blind leading the blind. And so when you have broken, bankrupt people attempting to teach you about money, wealth, how to handle debt, and accumulation of assets, you get students who grow up to make those same mistakes as their predecessors. One thing I like about a lot of immigrants and a lot of foreign dignitaries and things like that, is although they may come from poverty, they may come from a poor, quote unquote, poor country, but they do, once they get out of that environment and come to a place where there's a level playing field, they start running ahead of the curve, ahead of the pack. and teach themselves things that their parents and their parents' parents and the tribe never would have taught them. And so instead of, you never forget where you come from, but better yourself, improve yourself, and then go back and lift up others from where you came from. Not stay in the muck and mire and make the same mistakes as everybody else. And so, in my opinion, by failing to require personal finance classes for students, many schools send their grads out into the world ill prepared for the realities of, adult life. Because in this real world, you're not going to have a mother who's ready to stroke a check and give you money every time you're broke. That's not how life works. Life is not going to hand you a loan that you get to pay for when you get ready to pay for it. And so most universities were founded at a time when grads pursued one stable career for a lifetime, right? You worked in the factory, you worked for a company for 11 years, you retired, you got your gold watch, and you were happy. That's not happening now. Today, few graduates will stay in the same job for more than a few years at a time. And especially most millennials, they're in a position for 1 to 2 years and they're moving on. I think it's Google, Facebook, I know Apple. Many of their employees, their engineers and different people who come to those companies, they're there for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years is considered long. So you don't have people staying in the same position and staying in the same job 14 and 15, 20, 30 years. You're not having, that's just not happening. And the economy is shifting. And the reality of the workforce has changed. And universities are still a bit slow to catch up. So today you have hyphenated careers on the rise. The writer / entrepreneur, the nurse / consultant, the investor / filmmaker / you fill in the blanks, right? So creating a job that's all your own, combining your many passions into one career and gaining the necessary experiences to forge your particular unique path. You can't learn these skills in a lecture hall, and you're not going to learn them in a lecture hall. And that's why books are beautiful. But a lot of you don't like reading. And one thing I can tell you, if you don't like reading, you don't have the time to crack open a book, whether it's on a device. I don't care if you read it on an iPad or on your phone or audio. But if you don't like reading, you will be willingly ignorant, and you will always suffer. Because half the shit that you've gone through, you could have prevented it by either A, taking advice from your elders, or B, reading about it in a book. How to avoid it, or how to succeed, how to win in whatever it is. And so, as my mother used to say, a hard head makes a soft ass, right? You're going to learn the hard way. But you're going to learn. Be that impressive 20-something who knows the ins and outs of their bank account, their credit score, investments. Teach yourself. Because if you don't teach yourself, you're not going to learn. Another bullet point. Relationships and sex. How to be a good partner. And here's something you'll likely never see on a university syllabus. Relationships 101. But choosing the right life partner and learning how to be a supportive, communicative, and loving partner yourself are two of the skills that will undoubtedly shape your future happiness. Do you hear me? Who you marry or who you're sexually and spiritually bound to is one of the single greatest determining factors on your happiness and or sadness. And who you have kids with, that is huge, because win, lose, or draw, this is who you'll be tied to for the following 18 to 21 years, whether you like it or not. And I'm not sure why people leave this to chance. Ladies, stop gapping open for any old body. Have some self-respect. Stop having raw bareback sex with individuals who aren't even capable of taking care of themselves, let alone a whole family out in these streets. You got whole grown ass baby boys having kids, but I don't fault them. I fault the woman who lays down with that man. And then, you're upset for the next 18 years because you can't get child support. Well, when you laid down with him, you knew he was trifling and didn't have shit. You knew when you laid down with her whether she brought something to the table or not. But you probably weren't focused on that. Because school doesn't teach us how to, date for compatibility. We're getting too old to be, life is short. So you're welcome. That single dose of advice will save you 21 years of misery and heartache. And that's what happens when you have sex without protection. Sometimes a baby is created who grows up with needs and attention. And if that man dips out, it's all on you, boo. It doesn't matter if it's fair, It doesn't matter if it's planned or not. That's the way it works. And also, what's the point of having a great mindset if your heart is broken from suffering? Whether it's suffering in the past of, heartbreak, heartache, divorce, being cheated on, being lied to, being a fool. If you have a strong mindset, but your heart is broken from suffering, heartbreak, and pain, you'll be torn. And so your results will suffer. And nothing is more saddening to me than people who continue to get straight A's in school, pile on the electives, build great resumes, yet they've forgotten or never even realized the meaning of love. I think it's a tragedy to accumulate, be the top in your class, be successful in your career, have cars, have homes, be well read, be well traveled, well heeled and polished, but you can't maintain a relationship because you don't know how to deal with people. You don't know how to communicate with people. You don't know how to talk to people. How to communicate and negotiate well. That's a concept. That's a vibe. Communication isn't just about being a good partner, right? It's about being a good business person, being a good friend, a future leader. Equally important is knowing how to communicate, is knowing how to negotiate for what you want. It amazes me how many people don't know how to negotiate. And so they take whatever they can get. What do they say? A closed mouth don't eat. Mastering the art of negotiation can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in the long run. It can mean the difference between the house you want and the house you ultimately end up with. It can be the difference between promotion and, staying status quo. And it's one of those superpowers that can take years to hone. And so you have to learn it and you have to work on it. But teach yourself. Start with small negotiations. Your landlord tries to raise your rent. Ask him to meet you halfway. Your part-time job still paying you minimum wage. See if they can up your hourly rate by just a few dollars. Learn to recognize your worth. I'm going to say that again for the ones in the back. For the ones who are listening to this at work, you at your desk, you trying to keep it real sexy and professional and corporate. Learn to recognize your worth. Another bullet point. Government. Legal fiction. Understand humans are a maritime Admiralty product. Somebody listening to this, they're not going to get this until like 3:00 next Tuesday. But there are two of you. There's private you and there's public you. Public and private side. Business versus personal. Uppercase or lowercase. All law is commerce. Business. Period. You'll never get a bill or government form in lowercase letters. If you have a driver's license, look at your driver's license. The way your name is spelled on that document. Your passport. Your birth certificate. Your bills. When you get a bill, it's capitalized. Your name is capitalized. All caps. Hence, capital is in human capital. Maritime law, law of the sea. All ships are female. She delivers. We cannot pay a bill. We can only discharge debt. That's why we have relationships, citizenship, fellowship. Everything is maritime admiralty law. When you go in the courtroom, that's why we say things like the money needs to be liquid to get liquidated. That's why money is known as cash flow. It flows. Maritime law. You'd be surprised at how little people understand about how the true nature of politics work. And it just tickles me, and I'm brown skinned. It tickles me pink to see people arguing about Republicans and Democrats and parliament and elections and voting and electoral vote. And you have no idea that it doesn't matter who the figurehead is when those who actually affect change in legislation are still in place. Or straw man theory. Research straw man theory. Straw man theory. Know your straw man. How international banks work. And they run everything, every facet of our lives. How multinational banks finance nations to fight each other. There's a great book on this entitled, what is the name of that book? It's written by a financial hitman. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I got a million ideas coming at me. But where do you think countries get money to buy tanks and guns, etc., besides taxes? But these multinational bankers, they make their money on the interest they force nations to pay them. Usury. Another bullet point. How to thrive without gadgetry. Seneca the Stoic. Many of you who know me know that I love the Stoics, the classics. Epictetus but Seneca says, until we have begun to go without, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. You don't need a TV in every single room. You don't need 6 devices. Many of us, we have a laptop computer, we have a tablet, we have our smartphone, we have Apple Watches and Fitbits, and then we have Siri, and we have Alexa, and and so you don't even need half this shit. And do you realize how in many ways technology takes us further and further and further away from nature? How the more we use it, we lose more and more of our autonomy. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed, for instance, Because we have our contacts in our phones, many of us barely know our own phone numbers, let alone someone else's phone number or birthdays. If it wasn't for Facebook, some of y'all wouldn't even know your own mama's birthday. I'm just kidding, but you understand where I'm coming from, right? We don't remember birthdays. We keep track of birthdays based on what Facebook tells us or what, Google tells us. And so how to cook, the importance of seasoning your food. You know how many people don't even realize this? They never learned it. How to season your food. Healing with herbs. You are not going to learn that in any school or university unless you go to, a non-traditional allopathic type of school. And yet, how important is that? How many people get sick and they're dependent on a doctor, dependent on the dentist, dependent on, because they don't know what to do. You're in pain. Fibromyalgia, don't know what to do with it. Got a toothache, don't know what to do with it. A persistent headache, don't know what to do with it. But the school of hard knocks will teach you. Because pain is not fun. First aid. How many of us know first aid? Basic CPR. How to plant seeds, how to grow vegetables, harvest fruit, what type of herbs are poisonous versus which ones are for the healing, how to build a house, how to fix things. College won't teach you how to avoid burnout. No school will ever teach you how to cope with burnout. The world is littered with burnouts. People who've been beaten by stress. Don't you know stress kills? Stress is like Chinese waterboarding. It just, drip after drip after drip. And finally, before you know it, you've lost your damn mind. Or you've gotten a chronic illness. And at its root is stress. Teach yourself. Start practicing meditation for just 10 minutes a day. Get into this transcendental meditation and tantric sex. Get into this. When to trust your gut. College won't teach you when to trust your gut. The ability to trust your instincts is one of the hardest skills to teach and one of the rarest skills to find. You can take 8 semesters worth of seminars in multiple disciplines without ever having to gauge your gut once. But your gut is never going to betray you. Your intuition will never betray you. Your heart might betray you. Your intuition will never betray you. College will not teach you how to bounce back or the art of failing with grace. School is a place that trains us for success. Right? But if there's one reality that you should get used to when you're young, especially, is failure. The most successful people are those men and women who know how to fail with grace, how to bounce back, how to, fix your wig and be ready for the next challenge. Teach yourself. Read the biographies of people you admire and make note of the ways in which they coped with setbacks. And always remind yourself of the big picture. Notice I said people you admire. I didn't say, go read Thomas Jefferson and read Oprah. No, read the biographies of people you admire. Who are your heroes? And how did they handle stress? How did they deal with divorce and failure and death of loved ones? And pain and heartache and heartbreak and loss. and learn how to keep things in perspective. In a world of increasing uncertainty and volatility, how do you refine your optimism? How can you expect greatness if you don't know and you fail to run the rituals and routines that the great ones run? Learn them. Learn from the greats. Learn their rituals. Learn their routines. And then do them. And so, I say all that to say, college won't teach you a lot. If you are attending college, have attended college, great. And I am all for higher learning. I'm all for college. I'm all for university. But it's not the end all be all. So understand, easy is never the route to legendary. Easy is the route to average. So if you want it to be easy, know that you probably won't reach legendary. Talk less. Deliver more. Protect your mental health. Learn how to protect your mental health. Be that meditation, be that traveling, getting lost in a book, going hiking, going swimming, going to the gym, leaving it on the treadmill, healthy outlets. And because I believe it's important to have healthy outlets. When I say outlets, for some of us, our outlet is alcohol. It's the bottle. It's how we cope, how we protect our mental health. For some of us, it's marijuana or psychotropic drugs. For some of us, it's popping pills. Some of us, it's sex. Some of us, it's food. Some of our outlets to protect our mental health or cope is gambling or shopping, right? Retail therapy. But whatever your outlet is, learn to manage time and to manage your priorities. Because in reality, we really can't manage our time, right? We really don't manage our time. We learn to manage our priorities in the time we're given. And winning starts with beginning. And today's the best day to begin your best life. Right? And the bigger your dreams, the bigger your hopes, the bigger your goals, the bigger your aspiration, the more important the people around you, the more important the team. You can't rise to epic alone. It's not happening. Get brilliant at surrounding yourself with a band of Picassos. Surround yourself with the Michael Jordans of the world. Surround yourself with the Serena Williams and Ava DuVernays of the world. Surround yourself with the best of the best of the best of the best that you can find in your circle. And then mentor them, challenge them, help them believe in the heroic. Mastermind, remember? Generate that third mind that takes you further than you could have gone on your own alone. And with better awareness, understand that you will see better choices. And with better choices, you will see better results. And learn how to regenerate. Because college is not going to teach you how to regenerate. This world is not going to teach you how to regenerate. Learn to constantly recreate yourself. And tap into the neuroscience of how we learn so you can double up on your successes. Because the more you learn, the more you'll earn. And those who learn fastest win. And so thank you for listening. I do hope that you have a wonderful, splendid, spectacular rest of your day. And reach out to somebody today who you haven't spoken to, and I challenge you to reach out. Give them a call, text them, reach out to them, tell them you love them, you miss them, they were on your heart, they were on your mind. You know, we have to learn how to love each other better. Peace and blessings. See you next week.